My name's Wayne. I served 13 years active duty military, United States Army, got medically retired. I'm diagnosed with chronic severe PTSD with major depressive disorder. My unit in Iraq did not know I had PTSD. But then again, we all did, because we were part of the initial invasion in '03. I came back, I got reassigned to a medical unit. At that point, they realized something was wrong, and the unit was called combat stress control. That's where the soldiers, airmen, Marines, and the military. They go to those people, and they're the ones that do the counseling. They're the ones that do the evaluation. Say, nope, this guy's no longer fit for service here. He needs to go here. He needs to do this. He needs a 72-hour break. Even though I was in that unit, they knew something was wrong. My job was still needed. They never diagnosed me. After about a year of it, I was able to cover it up, hide it, and I did that for 10 years. So I officially was not diagnosed with it until 2012. I know exactly when my PTSD started. 3 weeks before I deployed to Iraq, my dad died. So that started the shutdown. I knew that had to come anyways because I already talked to my colonel and my first sergeant and my sergeant major, but that's irrelevant. When I got overseas, I started volunteering to go on extra missions. I volunteered to go on extra guard duties just to keep my dad out of my mind. Then the firefights started. Actually, I started on the way up to Baghdad, but I didn't see my bullet actually take someone out until about the second week in Iraq. And that's when I saw and felt a complete shift in my entire being. Because that's something I never thought I'd have to do. Have to kill someone. Seeing the sights. And when I say that, I'm not talking about going to the coast and seeing the beautiful scenery. I'm talking about seeing the dead bodies, the remains, the carnage. Not that we caused, but what we caused and what they caused. The after effects of Saddam coming down. PTSD for me was caused by that was the major factor for me. And the only way I knew how to deal with it at the time was to push it down. Push it down deeper and deeper into my soul. And if you start putting darkness deep down into your soul, you start extinguishing the light that was supposed to be there in the first place. And that's something that's very hard to come back from. And after talking with several friends of mine, they did the same thing. And it's like an iceberg. You can push it down, you can push it down. Well, let me rephrase that. It's like an ice cube. You can push it down, but it's going to pop right back up eventually. And that's the way PTSD is. The harder we push, the harder it pushes back. I got locked in a room full of dead bodies. I shot a 12-year-old kid for having a toy gun. I volunteered with combat patrols that I had no business being on, just to stay busy. I went out on every patrol and every mission I can get my hands on because I didn't want to sit around and twiddle my thumbs. I didn't want to have to think about what I just saw. I didn't want to have to try to process it. I didn't know how to process it. My friend who lost his leg, who doesn't have PTSD, I don't count him lucky, but I count him lucky. He has a prosthetic, he can walk fine, he's starting to run again. He's doing great. And he feels sorry for me because I'm going through what I'm going through. It's kind of a weird concept. I knew what I was doing. I was putting my life on the line for no reason. I had no reason to be outside the wire. Okay, let me rephrase that. there were certain times I had to go outside the wire. But I had more, I was with the cavalry. I had more combat missions than over half of the Cav Scouts. I think my total count was 396 combat missions. The next closest non-combative arms guy there was 53. I didn't care if I lived or died. I wasn't actively looking for a way for suicide, but it wouldn't have fazed me. This is the hardest thing for me. Somebody can come up to me and tell me, I can't see Jesus loving me. I've done this, 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 and this. Like, he don't care. He's right there behind you. All you gotta do is turn around, put your arms around him. He's right there. I know that here. I can't grasp it here anymore. And that's what I'm dealing with, on top of the PTSD. And that's for me, I've dealt with PTSD since 2003, 2004. I can do that. I can do that standing in my head drinking water. But getting my life back with God, that's a battle that I'm having a hard time with. Because I don't feel the acceptance. I don't feel the love. It's trying. It's difficult. And unfortunately, society looks at it, in my opinion, as something that's made up in my head, something that if I was man enough, I can adapt, overcome, and drive on. Sorry, I can't. Tried. Did it for 10 years. And now, according to my psychiatrist, my psychologist, and my counselor, I'll probably never get over it because I waited that 10 years to get the help.